This young man stood before the angel seraph and used the ultimate item code 0 to request a regression, sending him back 10 years. Before everything unfolded in the world of H-Prin, unable to deny the request, Seraph converted Suhan's points into 5 special privileges. The first privilege for him was related to data retention for his character's information and attributes within the game system. His first-round data could be imported, and of his 6 attributes, 4 would be randomly enhanced. The second privilege allowed Suhan to choose his class upon clearing the passage ritual, including rare and hidden classes. The third gave Suhan an extra hidden skill slot, and the fourth was a one-time body modification. The fifth allowed Suhan to choose one non-restricted item excluding any unranked equipment. These privileges were basically cheats for the game system, and Suhan couldn't believe he had received them. After a blinding flash of light, Suhan was granted his second chance, returning to 10 years in the past, right to the moment he first met Seraph. This Seraph was like a soulless machine. Looking at Suhan, it spoke, "Welcome to the summoning room. Search results indicate the player is from planet Earth. Name Kim Suhan. 23 years old, nationality South Korea. Personal identification is complete. My name is Seraph, and I will now be your guide, player Kim Suhan. After I ask you a few questions, you will be teleported from this room to another location to undergo the passage ritual. There you must earn the right to become a true player." In H-Prin, Suhan already knew all of this information by heart. H-Prin wasn't a place that could be found on Earth. It was a different world, completely lacking the conveniences of modern life. Even the forest where Suhan and the others were standing was merely the stage for the passage ritual, a prelude to the true H-Prin. Now that Suhan had returned to the H-Prin of 10 years ago, he had to make the most of this second chance to prevent the future tragedy. He had to fully utilize the information and privileges he'd gained. After he took down a zombie the others summoned with him, Yin began to trust and follow him. Because of that, they all narrowly escaped death. Now Suhan activated the special skill he had obtained from his privileges. Each person could only possess one special skill, and Suhan had chosen the S-rank skill, Third Eye. This skill grants its user vision far beyond the ordinary, allowing them to perceive even supernatural forces. Its superior vision allows for detailed observation of all surrounding phenomena and even lets him peek into moments outside of the current reality. However, what can be seen depends on the user's mind and their proficiency with the eye. From among the peoples here, Suhan needed to find companions who would be useful to him. The passage ritual was a test that Suhan and these others had been forcibly thrown into 10 years ago by the angels. Without any warning, there are 2 ways to clear it. The first is to reach the central gate within 7 days. The second is to simply survive for 7 days. Of course, surviving the passage ritual doesn't allow anyone to return home. All it does is transport players to the true H-Prin. Suhan, now on his regression journey, needed to make everything different from 10 years ago. Last time he survived alone, but now he was determined to build a strong team. While Suhan was deep in thought, a pair of brothers approached to thank him for saving their lives from the zombie. Based on the game system, Suhan could tell that the brother Anhan would likely survive the trial easily if nothing unexpected happened. He started with unusually high stats compared to Suhan from 10 years ago, but when he looked at the younger sister named Ansan, Suhan's eyes widened in shock at the numbers that appeared: 100 luck points and a starting magic power of 75. It was practically cheating. If someone this special existed, there's no way he wouldn't have heard of her in his past life, a life he was reliving thanks to his regression. Had he ever seen anyone with this name before? Impossible. Could she be the representative of the secret priest class, the priestess of wisdom, Sophia Odin? Just then, a middle-aged man stepped forward, pointing and shouting, "Hey, what the hell are you all doing? You should have dragged that girl along faster, you bastard." This man's name was Park Dong-gun. With his stats, he would probably survive easily, but to have attributes like that, he must have been a thug in the modern world, and it seems nothing has changed. Unable to bear the insult, Anhan retorted, "You jerk! Are you talking about yourself, old man? After all, you're the one who threw the rock at that monster's chest." Dong-gun yelled back in anger, "What are you saying? It's my fault they're chasing us. We were all scared, but I'm not the one who just stood there crying. It's all because of that weak, crying brat that we got slowed down." Just then, a girl's voice chimed in from behind. "Oh, listen to this old man run his mouth. Sure, she slowed our escape, but you're the reason we had to run in the first place. Does it feel good to curse at kids? If I were you, I'd shut my mouth to save myself the embarrassment. You're the one whining the loudest." The person who stood up for the siblings was named Lee Yu-jung. She and Donggun then got into a fierce shouting match, and just as they were about to come to blows, Suhan, determined to make his second chance count, stepped in to stop them. Calm down, both of you. First, we need to avoid those monsters. That's not even considering what happens if we're attacked right now. We don't have the time or the firepower to wipe them out, and with all this shouting, you're just inviting them over. So stop it now. Everyone else agreed with this and wanted to have a discussion. Donggun wasn't a complete idiot who would go against the entire group at a time like this. He apologized for raising his voice at Yujung. Maybe my words were a bit harsh, but don't take it personally. My life's been rough, so talking like this has become a habit. Put aside your bad impression of me for a moment and listen. When that monster lunged at us in that clearing, I was genuinely scared for my life. When facing death isn't cooperation the best option. Look, the others might not get it, but I'm sure that guy over there has some pretty good potential. He even came prepared with a weapon. And if you can survive with just your words, then you'll be useful too. Not to mention the guy with the crossbow, everyone knows he'll be extremely useful. So I think the four of us would do great if we formed a party. Obviously, this offer isn't for those who just want a free ride. This guy is surprisingly adaptable. He actually assessed the situation and picked out the best people to form a team and increase their chances of survival. You really can't judge a book by its cover. The remaining people who were left out could only stay silent after hearing this divisive proposal. I can't quite figure him out, but I'm sure that guy has some decent potential. He even came prepared with a weapon. And if you can live by those words of yours, you'll be useful too. Not to mention the guy with the crossbow. Anyone can clearly see he'll be extremely useful. So I think the four of us would do very well if we formed a team. Obviously, this offer isn't for anyone who just wants to sit back and reap the benefits. This guy is truly adaptable. He actually assessed the situation, picked out the best people to form a team and increase their chances of survival. You really shouldn't judge someone by their appearance. The remaining people who were left out immediately had objections after hearing the plan to split the group up. But Donggun considered them a bunch of useless baggage who would die soon anyway, so there was no need to pay them any mind, especially Ansan. Just then, a girl named Kim Hanbun spoke up, agreeing with the proposed plan to form a separate team. But of course, there was no way in hell she was going with Donggun. And just like that, Suhan's 5-person party was formed. On their way, Suhan checked Hanbun's information. She certainly knows how to read people, a wise assessment on her part. And more importantly, her stats were high in magic and she had the unique skill Build Trust. It seems I wasn't wrong to remember her from the very beginning. I never expected to encounter that special skill here in this second chance at life. After walking for a while, the party stopped to introduce themselves. Since Suhan was the oldest, he was greatly trusted by the others. While everyone was worrying about having to survive in the forest with nowhere to rest, Ansan suddenly spoke up, explaining that the angel had mentioned there were a few areas for rest during the trial. It was a golden-roofed building for temporary shelter or an independent resting place called a safe zone. Everyone was completely astonished by this information. Their own angels hadn't said a damn thing and just threw them in here. Only Suhan, with his knowledge from his regression, knew the reason for this. 100 luck points is truly terrifying. After observing the area, Ansan discovered a path behind the zombies they had just faced, and so the group charged forward to fight 3 zombies under Suhan's leadership. Ansan was in charge of the frontline attack with a sword and shield, while Suhan provided ranged support with his crossbow. Meanwhile, the other 2 were tasked with protecting the rear. Just then, Yujung shouted a warning to Suhan about a zombie attacking from behind. Suhan remained perfectly calm as he loaded a bolt into his crossbow and turned to face the zombie. He had noticed this zombie a while ago. After all, his perception was much higher than an ordinary person's thanks to the Xi game system. He just needed to find the right moment to fire, and the zombie was easily dispatched. In the meantime, Ansan was still struggling on the defensive, unable to find an opening to attack. It wasn't until Suhan pointed out that the zombies' weak point was their heads that he was finally able to take them down. After dealing with the 3 zombies, the group surveyed the area and found a stone-paved path, but it was blocked by a stone wall and a large horde of zombies. They had struggled with just 3 of them, and now the entire group was struggling, so there was no way they could defeat that many zombies. After thinking for a long time, the thought of losing even a single member was unacceptable. With no other choice, Suhan decided he would lure the horde of monsters away by himself. An argument immediately broke out. Everyone thought his plan was completely insane, but Suhan didn't back down from his decision. How long are we supposed to wait? If we just wait around, who knows whether those things will find and attack us? There is no better way to get there. And the important thing is, the sun is about to set, but we still have a long way to go. There is no guarantee that taking another path will help at this point. Nobody wants to sleep on the road or in the forest at night, right? Anson at this point was teary-eyed, but that is too dangerous for you, Suhan. Suhan immediately flashed a bright smile. To be honest, I knew this kind of situation was bound to happen from my regression. It just came faster than I thought. I think that deliberately choosing a longer path even though the way out of the forest is right in front of us is pretty foolish. I know it is a bit strange since I am only 23 years old, but I'm the most capable one here, right? If not now, then when will I ever get a chance to step up and be useful to everyone? Anhan immediately shot back, what kind of reasoning is that? Those monsters run insanely fast when they see people. If you get caught, it'll be all over. Suhan reassured the group, they just move a little faster than usual, that's all. And if I attack with the crossbow while running, my chances of escape aren't bad at all. I was just discharged from the military not too long ago, so to me this is just like a morning training session. The others, still worried, suggested going with Suhan, but how the hell could he escape while dragging along dead weights like them? Suhan had no choice but to find an excuse to refuse. What if there are even more monsters behind that wall? As a precaution, you all need at least one person who can fight, and it's much easier to lure the monsters alone. If you came with me, you'd just be in the way. Besides, Anhan, you have to protect your little sister. You've all seen my skills, haven't you? I'm doing this because I also want to survive. I'm saying this because I know I can pull it off. Just this once, please trust me. After some convincing, everyone finally agreed to follow Suhan's plan. Before he left, he gave them one last careful instruction. If you see that I've lured them far enough away, get everyone and run. Never look back and don't do anything stupid like coming back for me. Once you get over the wall, wait there. I'll lose them and catch up with you right after. Suhan ran up to a high place alone to prepare to lure the zombies. This was a completely different experience for him. In his first life before his regression, Suhan had been lost in the forest for 2 days because the zombies were concentrated in the open area. He hadn't even thought about forming a party because he was too busy just trying to escape. After reaching the high ground, Suhan located the horde of zombies. The other group members were also in position according to the plan. Suhan immediately yelled out, "Hey, you disgusting monsters! I'm over here, you idiots! Look over here! Fresh meat!" After confirming the zombies had taken the bait, Anhan immediately led the group forward. Yu Jung, however, impulsively wanted to run back and save Suhan, but luckily Anhan was level-headed enough to stop her. While the group was worried sick about Suhan's life, he was casually luring the monsters while humming his favorite tune. After running himself into a corner, he finally stopped to chat with the zombies. "Wow, there are a lot of you here, huh? If this many of you are gathered here, it means all of you from this area are gathered in one spot, right? This is the perfect chance for me to warm up. Well then, I'll get started." While Suhan was busy trash-talking, a zombie lunged forward and bit his arm, and just like that, our protagonist turned into a zombie. End of story. Just kidding. Not only did the zombie fail to injure Suhan, but it also shattered its brand new grill. Thanks to a special privilege from the Xong game system, Suhan currently possesses the secret class Swordmaster, along with stats that are absurdly high. Most of his stats exceed 90 and are incredibly well balanced. This is what you call a true game breaker. We're requesting an immediate admin ban on this account. Suhan then sliced off the head of the zombie, gnawing on his arm with his bare hand. I want to go all out right now, but they might still be watching from somewhere. For now, I have to hide my true power. You guys get that right, ah well? It doesn't matter if you don't understand. So why don't we head deeper into that area? What followed was an absolutely horrifying scene. A supposedly weak man isolated a horde of zombies and then proceeded to rip their heads off one by one. This second chance had clearly turned him into a monster himself. After settling everything, Suhan returned to the stone wall where he was supposed to meet the group, but strangely no one was there at all. He immediately inspected the remaining traces. There were signs that 4 people had been here and they had headed in that direction. The footprints were chaotic, so they must have left in a great hurry. What could have happened? I wonder if I can review the past with my third eye, but let's give it a try. As expected of a special skill likely granted by his unique game system, the images of the past immediately replayed in Suhan's mind. After crossing the stone wall, the group had waited patiently as instructed, but it seemed something had appeared. A creature had attacked them, forcing the group to flee. Just as Suhan was about to see what the attacker was, his eyes suddenly burned with pain and the vision immediately vanished. It seemed this was the limit of his regression ability given his current mana pool, but now he knew something had happened to the group. Now all he had to do was follow the remaining tracks. While science on Earth was highly advanced, life in H-Prince was anything but comfortable. Therefore, to help humans adapt effectively, the angels created safe points and ritual rest areas through buildings and an atmosphere that mimicked the real H-prints. However, the trap points were incredibly modern and opulent. They were places that offered a fleeting reminder of life back on Earth. Unfortunately, the group had wandered into one of these trap points, and Ansan was now running a high fever. At that moment, Yudong was determined to go back outside. Suhan is probably still waiting for us out there. It's dark and raining now, and he might get lost and be unable to follow our tracks. If you all won't come with me, then I'll go find him myself. Hanan, seeing this, tried to stop her, saying, "What if you go back and those ghosts reappear? We just barely escaped a very dangerous situation. If it hadn't been for Ansan, we probably all would be dead by now." Yudong suddenly shouted, "You think I don't know that we brought Ansan here to escape those monsters, and now we have to go back for Suhan? Are you saying everything's okay just because we're safe now, that we can just forget about Suhan, regardless of whether he's alive or dead? How shameless do you have to be to think that way?" The atmosphere in the room instantly grew tense. Han Byun then spoke up, "Then why don't you go find him yourself? Go on, and just like with Suhan, I won't care whether you live or die either." Yudong was struck speechless by these words. "Han Byun, do you really think Suhan is already dead? Is that why you're being so cold? He sacrificed himself to save someone like you, valuing this second chance at life more than anything." Han Byun retorted, "We told him not to go, but he was the one who decided to act as the decoy. He walked right into danger himself despite everyone trying to stop him. So how am I the one in the wrong?" Before things could escalate further, Anhan shouted, "Both of you stop it. Neither of you is wrong, but do you really have to say such hurtful things to each other? Since it's dark and raining, I will go look for Suhan." Yudong was overjoyed and prepared to go along to search for Suhan, but Han Byun's opinion remained unchanged. "It looks like Yudong wants to go get herself killed. You don't need to go with her. If you go, you'll just get hurt too. And you be quiet. Yudong, don't be so reckless and rush out when you don't even grasp the situation. Do you really have any idea what would have happened without Ansan? Our knives and fists are useless against that ghost. It's like it has immunity from a game system we can't comprehend. No one is wrong, but do you two really have to be so hurtful to others? Since it is raining and getting dark, I will go find him." So Yudong was overjoyed and was about to go with him to search for Suhan, but Hanbun's opinion had not changed at all. "No, it seems like Yudong has a death wish. You do not need to come along. If you go, you will also get hurt. You shut up too, Yudong. Do not be reckless and go out when you do not even understand the situation. Do you really know what would have happened if not for Sun? Our knives or fists would not have stood a chance against that ghost. It's obvious you'll die if you go out and run into that ghost again, so why would you even want to go back there after everything that happened? If Suhan is still alive and sees we're not there, he'll probably just go somewhere else. Use your brain for a second, and think straight." Yudong didn't listen to a single word of it. She immediately shot back, "What a great reason. Now you're showing your true colors, aren't you? Have you already forgotten that we only made it here thanks to Suhan? Putting on that self-righteous act and using people, you're no different from Parong." Just as the two of them were arguing loudly, suddenly someone opened the door and walked in. "What's with all the noise? Looks like I found the right place. It seemed safe here, so I came in to check." That person was none other than Suhan, looking drenched to the bone. Everyone was thrilled to see that Suhan was safe except for Hanbun, who felt a pang of guilt for what he'd said. Suhan told everyone he didn't really mind what happened, so there was no need to worry. After all, it's not like they abandoned him on purpose. Just then, Suhan noticed that Sun wasn't there, so he asked what was going on, and Han led him into a room and explained that thanks to him they were able to get over the wall, just as planned. Afterward, they waited for him as promised, but trouble started almost immediately. They showed up looking like transparent shadows. No matter how many times I swung my sword, it had no effect whatsoever. It was as if I was just slicing through thin air. When one of them attacked me, my body completely froze up like I'd been hit with a spell. Then Sun, who was behind me, screamed and her body suddenly began to glow. The ghost that touched the light instantly vanished. I survived thanks to Sun, but now she's struggling to breathe and her pulse is unstable. At times she seems really restless. I even heard her groaning in pain. She's going to be okay, right? She will wake up, won't she? Suhan frowned as he listened and thought to himself, a ghost unaffected by physical attacks? That's a spirit. This information felt familiar thanks to the game system. They can only be damaged by magical attacks, but why would they appear during the rite of passage? Especially before people who lack magical power. As for Sun's problem, it's called mana overload. It's a common symptom that occurs when someone uses magic far beyond their body's capacity. That girl isn't even an official player yet, but she can already wield this much magical power. It's hard to believe. It must be, because of her 75 points in magic and 100 points in luck. Ah, so this is the future priestess of wisdom. This regression gave him knowledge others couldn't possibly have. After carefully assessing the situation, Suhan told Anhan that as long as her breathing is steady, there shouldn't be a problem. Don't worry. It's probably just a nightmare, but I should check to be safe. Could you step outside for a minute? I know you're worried about your sister. So Anhan wanted to stay and help. Suhan continued, you can't help me with this and I'm not going to do anything weird to her. Anhan, you were also attacked by those creatures, weren't you? You don't look so well yourself. You look like you're about to collapse. All of you are exhausted and it's getting late. Go get some rest and leave this to me. This second chance at life is too precious to waste by not resting. You'll just get more irritable if you don't. After convincing the other three to get some sleep, Suhan could finally begin the treatment. He approached Sun, placed his hand on her forehead, and checked her condition, just as Suhan had thought the magic inside. Sun's body was in complete chaos. If Suhan could just transfer a bit of his own magic to guide hers in the right direction, Sun would be fine, would recover on its own. Fortunately, it was just a simple case of overload. After a night of transferring mana, Sun finally woke up. The group was overjoyed to see this, especially Anhan, who was moved to tears. After everything had settled down, Suhan gathered the group together and announced that they had to leave this place today. Everyone was shocked by this decision and wondered why they had to leave in such a hurry. Suhan asked everyone what they had heard from the angels. It turns out Yu Dong had jumped in to fight the angels, so he had no information at all. The others only knew a few bits of information, so it wasn't very helpful. Suhan then reiterated the key points. 1. Reach the gate in the center. Or 2. Survive for 7 days. The warning that came with those conditions was not to stay in one place for too long and to keep moving for the entire week or head to the central location. Of course, Suhan couldn't just outright say that this place was a trap. Upon hearing this, Yu Dong immediately objected. Wait, isn't it better to stay here? There are no monsters here at all, and there's plenty of enough food and enough rooms for all of us to wash up and sleep. Yesterday we all went through hell in the forest. Suhan then explained, think about it, Yu Dong. The angels warned us before we were brought to this world, and that we should always be on the move. That was their warning, yet they created a place like this. Don't you find that a little suspicious? Comfortable conditions, familiar food, a place very similar to the world we lived in, not to mention the monsters. But why isn't there a single living creature here? I think this city is just a copy, a trap. I have a bad feeling about staying here any longer. Even after all that, Yu Dong stubbornly refused to believe it. It's just a feeling after all. Do we really have to trust the words of those winged bastards? Maybe they just said that to trick us, to convince everyone to stay. Yu Dong turned to Sun, who was recently injured and was feeling a bit panicked. Sun, what about you? If we leave this place, we could run into monsters even more terrifying than the ones we saw yesterday. What do you think? You don't want to go either. Right after hearing this, Sun was a bit hesitant, but then she decided to follow Suhan. She said she had a premonition about it. At this mention, Anhan suddenly became tense. Sun, a premonition. You mean that thing you always get? There must be a reason you feel that way, right? Tell us. Sun hesitated for a moment, then decided to speak up. Last night I had a nightmare. I saw all of us sleeping in this building. Suddenly, a foreboding light shone down and a giant monster appeared, a monster that looked like an alien. The monster knew exactly where we were and everyone was in danger. I think after that we all died. No, I actually saw you and the others die. But then the dream suddenly changed. It was like a regression. Everything went back to how it was. And at the beginning, and Suhan suddenly appeared. He told us to run, saying he would hold off the monster, giving us a second chance. We ran out of the city. When I looked back, the dream ended. I heard a terrible sound. I don't know if it was a cry or a scream. At this point, Anhan spoke up. I've lived with Sun for 19 years and we've been through a lot together. And every time something like this happens, it reminds me that we shouldn't ignore Sun's premonitions. Suhan wasn't surprised by this ability of Sun's. Although the skill must be at a certain level within this game system, with 100 luck points, it's possible to predict the future. Intuition. Sun must have indirectly seen the future through a prophetic dream. Although Yu Dong thought it was just a premonition, Anhan immediately refuted it. It is not just a premonition. Whenever Sun feels anxious, bad things happen. Although it is rare, sometimes her dreams can predict the future. If Sun dreamt that then we should not stay here any longer, Besides, the fact that we are the only people in this city is too strange. I think we have to leave while it is still light out." Under Anhan's persuasion, the group decided to return to the forest and stay there for another 3 days. On the night they left the city after a fight, the group found a safe point with many weapons to choose from. Thanks to that, except for Sun, who still could not use healing magic, everyone fought together and survived the night. 3 days had passed since the group left the city, and it was the 5th day of the passage ritual. Human corpses appeared more and more frequently, and the monster attacks became more relentless. After a battle with the monkeys, the group decided to stop and rest. Over the past few days, Suhan's masterful crossbow skills had made everyone suspicious. Although he used the excuse of learning it in the military, it seemed no one truly believed his second chance had granted him such expertise. At this rate, they would be able to reach the gate in the center on the 7th day, or perhaps even the 6th. Although everyone was adapting quite well, Suhan did not know how they would react upon learning that the target for killing to gain HP in the game system was human. Just then, another group of survivors walked towards Suhan's group. From the information he recalled, Suhan recognized the long-haired man. His name was Gu Ju-min. He was the lord of the Red Fang Guild, known for being a demon, and the archer beside him was even more dangerous. As soon as they approached, a confrontation broke out. The blonde man slowly stepped forward and threatened them. "You see, we are not in a good mood right now, so just answer our questions and we can go our separate ways, you punks." Before Suhan could react, Yu Dung exploded. "What the hell, you bastard? Why should we do that? Who do you think you are?" But before she could finish her sentence, she was attacked with a dagger. Fortunately, Anhan reacted quickly using a shield to block it. So he was fine, but the blonde guy wasn't so lucky. Just as he was about to raise his hand to show off, an arrow pierced straight through the palm of his hand. The one who shot it was none other than Suhan, so fast that even the enemy's own archer couldn't react in time. After checking their information with his game system, Suhan was certain that he hadn't mistaken them for someone else. That was the archer Seon Guzun, the man who would become one of the top 10 players. He was the most powerful archer in H-Prince. I don't know who that trash is, but the other two could become terrible threats in the future. If I can't make them allies, maybe I should just kill them right here and now. Suhan was suddenly filled with killing intent, and the air grew tense between the two sides, even as the blonde man screamed ceaselessly on the ground. But after a moment of thought, Suhan made his decision. "No, maybe I would do that if I were alone, but right now traveling with this group, I can't just kill someone in front of these kids. It's still too early for that." While the blonde man shrieked for revenge, Guzun Min calmly stepped forward and apologized. "We're sorry for attacking you. Can we please stop here? We don't. They aren't monsters, so there's no reason for us to fight them." After negotiating, both sides decided to lower their weapons and talk. To show his sincerity, Gu Sung-min raised both his hands and said, "I apologize. Normally they aren't like this, but the past 5 days have been too difficult. Everyone in our group is about to collapse. We will only ask one question and leave immediately. Have you seen 2 women who look like sisters? They were part of our group, but they were captured by those monkeys. We've been searching for them ever since." Suhan then remembered the body he had seen on the path, but since he didn't want to get involved, he decided to act as if he knew nothing. Just then his teammate Sonan spoke up, causing Gu Zungmin to become agitated. "What, you saw them? Where are they?" Left with no other choice, Suhan was forced to answer. "You said sisters, but we only saw one woman. We're not sure if she's the person you're looking for." Gu Zungmin looked extremely worried and said that just telling us what you saw would be enough. Suhan was about to say that the body had been trampled to pieces, but Sonan quickly interjected. She was wearing a yellow dress. The blonde-haired man, upon hearing this, seemed to lose his mind. Could it really be her? But she's dead? Are you guys making this up after you killed her yourselves? Huh? Fortunately, Gu Zungmin managed to stop him before he did something stupid. Suhan sighed. He knew it would turn out like this, a bitter lesson learned before his regression, which is why he'd wanted to feign ignorance. "I have to warn the reckless members of my team." Suhan then told Gu Zungmin, "You will find the body if you go down the path behind us for about 2 hours. There isn't much grass there, so it should be easy to see. We covered her with a blanket, so you should be able to find her easily. I am truly sorry for your loss. However, I really don't appreciate being accused like that." Sonan then spoke up to encourage them. "If you keep going that way, there's a building where you can rest. There's food and a room to sleep in. You can also treat your hand there, so please don't give up." Feeling the sincerity in the young woman's voice, Gu Zungmin let down his guard and smiled. "All right, you don't seem like the kind of people who would do that. Please forgive us for what happened earlier. If fate wills it, we will meet again." Afterwards, the leaders of both groups continued to discuss and exchange information. When he learned that the target of Suhan's party was the gate goo, Zungmin warned him, "Give it up. If you still value your lives, just focus on the main quest from the game system, which is to survive for 7 days. An incredibly powerful monster there. You won't be able to reach the gate." With that said, the two parties went their separate ways. That night, while everyone was sleeping soundly in the lounge, Suhan was deep in thought. Just then, Han Bi-eun walked over with a cup of warm water in her hands. "It's time to change shifts. What are you thinking about with such a worried look on your face? You didn't even notice me." In reality, Suhan had known she was there for a while. This second chance had sharpened his senses far beyond normal, but he feigned ignorance to hide his true strength. "Do I look that worried?" Han Bi-eun sat down beside him and said, "Yes. In fact, you've had that expression ever since. We met that other group this afternoon. What did that long-haired man say to you? Afterwards, you didn't say anything? At all. You're making everyone else worried because you've been so quiet after talking with that man." Suhan didn't want to explain, so he just stood up. "Humph, it's nothing important. No matter what happens, everything will be fine. So don't worry, it's my turn to take the watch now." Just as Suhan turned to head inside his room, Han Bi said she had something to ask him. No matter how many excuses Suhan tried to make, he couldn't get away. Han Bi, with a serious expression, looked at Suhan and asked, "Suhan, are you hiding something from us? What are we to you anyway? Earlier, when Anhan stepped forward to block that arrow for Yu Jung, you immediately shot at those people, but they're still human beings, not monsters. Do you have any idea how scared everyone was by what you did today?" Suhan thought for a moment and then gave a vague reply that he hadn't paid much attention to it, but that only made Han Bi lose control of her emotions. She stood up and began to raise her voice. "This isn't something you can just brush aside. Furthermore, you haven't said anything since talking to that thick-haired guy, and now you're still saying it's nothing important and not to worry. Why do you always decide everything by yourself, huh? Why don't you explain anything to us? Aren't we your comrades? You're always just thinking on your own and acting on your own." Suhan cut her off at this point. "I don't decide things by myself, we always look at it together. I mean, even today, Anhan did more than I did, didn't he? And you and Yujung did plenty as well. Oh, and when we fought those monkeys too. But this kind of deflection couldn't fool Han Bi. You're just making it look that way. You might fool Anhan and Yujung, but you can't fool me. From the very start, your decisions have always been uncannily accurate, so we've stayed quiet even when we were confused, but if it goes on like this, you're just going to keep making a mess of things like this. I don't know why you're keeping your distance from us, but the problem is, everyone is relying on you so much. Han, can you be a real commander and lead us? Not just by restraining us, but by actually becoming a part of the group, a true commander. Only then will we know that what you're doing is for the safety of the party. Whether you attack people from other groups or say nothing at all, we'll still trust you. If you lead us, we will happily follow you." And just like that, Suhan's manipulation succeeded perfectly. This was exactly what he wanted, to be acknowledged as a true leader. It was just as you'd expect from the player who reached the top of the rankings in 10 years. Manipulating the psychology of these kids was child's play. Suhan had no reason to refuse this request to become their leader. The next day, the entire party set out again, heading for the gate at the center, and today there was another silent member who didn't say a single word. The atmosphere was quite tense for the entire journey. After traveling for a while, the party was 600 meters from the gate's location. Suhan then recalled Gu Jungmin's words from yesterday, that 300 meters from the gate there would be a monster. The creature that Gu Jungmin had encountered was likely the boss for this clearance ritual. At first glance, the area looked like nothing more than an ordinary field with no signs of an ambush, because in his past life, Suhan was so weak that just surviving for 7 days was a challenge, let alone searching for the gate, so he wasn't very familiar with the situation here. The whole party continued to press forward. Everyone else thought they could finally go home after passing through the gate. Only Suhan, with his knowledge from his regression, knew that beyond it lay an even worse hell. This second chance was far from over. Suhan followed the party forward, all while keeping a close eye on the surroundings. At a distance of 200 meters, nothing had happened yet. The only noteworthy thing was a few patches of discolored soil. While other areas were spotless, even when Suhan activated his search magic, he couldn't detect anything at all, as everything remained extremely normal. As the group advanced to within 100 meters of the gate, the surrounding magical currents suddenly erupted, violently and concentrated in the sky. A massive purple magic circle abruptly appeared while everyone was still, trying to understand what was happening. Suhan yelled, "If you want to live, run for your lives and don't look back. Right now, run from this magic circle." A gigantic black monster that looked like an alien suddenly emerged, its roars echoing everywhere, instilling a sense of terror and helplessness in everyone. Obviously, this was the boss of the rite of passage. And Han An's son Lee Yu-dong and Kim Han-byul were transported to the Angel's domain, having survived the rite of passage and earned the qualification to enter H-Prince. H-Prince can be divided into 4 great continents: East, West, South, and North. Players who proved they were worthy of survival in the rite of passage would be sent to a place called the Starting Inn, located in the major city of each continent. Following the Angel's instructions, the 4 of them stepped through the door inside the Starting Inn and looked around. There was no one else, and they were the first to arrive. The reason this happened was because the 4 of them had listened to Suhan, fled to the gate, and successfully cleared the rite of passage, earning their second chance, while Suhan stayed behind alone to hold off the boss. Although they had overcome great hardship and survived, no one was in the mood to celebrate. We all made it out alive except for Suhan. He sacrificed himself so we could get to the gate, and yet none of us can go home. Without him, what are we supposed to do now? It's not like we have the power of regression to go back and change things. Over the past few days, the group had become reliant on Suhan. Now, without him to navigate this unforgiving game system, no one knew what to do next. Just at their moment of deepest despair, the door on the upper floor suddenly creaked. The group looked up, praying relentlessly that the person who would step out would be Suhan. But life isn't a fairy tale. The one who opened the door was actually Gu Jung-min and his party. This time, the attitude between the two groups was much less hostile. The blonde-haired guy, Cheon Seung-hwan, even came over and apologized to Yu-dong for what happened before. Yu-dong wasn't in the mood for any of it, so she let it go. Jung-min then walked around the inn, searching for an exit. It seems we can't get out yet. The windows and the main door won't open, and I don't see one person. Where's the crossbow user? Why is it just you kids? I heard everyone who passed was supposed to gather. Here, don't tell me you guys actually went to the gate. I told you not to go, but you went anyway. If that kid is dead, then what are you guys going to do? As soon as he mentioned this, the group furiously shouted, "He's not dead! Suhan is not dead!" They were all clinging to a tiny sliver of hope, unwilling to give up. At that moment, Cheon Seung-hwan, sitting at the next table, muttered, "So sensitive. They must have run into that monster. In that case, the crossbow guy is 100% a goner." When we faced it, we lost 2 people and had to run away. The 4 members of Anhan's group continued to stare towards the door, hoping. But the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. The door opened more and more frequently, but there was still no sign of Suhan. A while later, Donggun stepped out and smirked. "Well, now who do we have here? If it isn't the bunch of hypocrites. I'm surprised you're still alive. So only the crossbow guy got left behind. I thought your whole squad would have been wiped out." Elsewhere, the Angel Seraph announced to the player in amazement, "Just a single sword strike, what magnificent swordsmanship. To defeat the boss player Kim Suhan, congratulations on surviving the rite of passage with a record of 6 days and 16 hours. 42 minutes and 27 seconds the player has proven themselves worthy of entering H-Prin." Of course, Suhan survived. He is the main character after all. How in the world could he possibly die 10 minutes earlier after confirming the entire group had left through the gate? Suhan finally used his true power. He removed the crossbow from his hand and effortlessly dodged the boss's attacks. While the boss was dazed, wondering what the hell was happening, Suhan used magic to retrieve the sword that Anhan had dropped while fleeing. Then he simultaneously activated 2 skills, the special skill Sword and Master as one. And at that moment, the player holds a sword. All sword-related actions receive a buff, increasing them by 2 levels, and the hidden skill Dueling, rank A+. A skill that helps the player surpass human limitations with melee weapons. The player will absolutely not be pushed back in any duel or battle. The effect received is increased by 2 levels. Suhan had used his special privilege to obtain these skills all for this very moment. With just a single slash, the boss was instantly defeated. This use of the game system is just too blatant. Returning to the Angel's domain, Suhan immediately asked Seraph about the kid's situation upon meeting her. She did not hide anything and replied that players Anhan, Anson, Liu Zung, and Kim Han Bun had been taken to the summoning room. Safely, they are being taught basic knowledge and how to release their abilities by the other angels you have already activated. Your stat and skill settings before even finishing the rite of passage, something no other player has managed to do. Suhan did not seem to care much about this. What he wanted to know was whether this H-Prin game was balanced at all. Seraph replied in confusion. That of course it was. But Suhan pointed out a pile of unbalanced issues, ignoring the fact that the starting point was in the middle of a forest and the layout of the paths. How the hell does a boss just spawn right next to the gate? How could a group of novice players who can't even use magic possibly defeat something like that if I hadn't been there? Wouldn't almost all of my allies have been wiped out? But Seraph gave a chillingly calm reply, "That monster was not meant for novice players. To defeat the boss monster requires at least 5 people, and it spawns randomly within a range of 200 to 300 meters from the gate. Only one person per group can reach the gate after evading the boss." Upon hearing this, Suhan asked again, "So you mean at least 4 people must be sacrificed as bait to escape that monster?" Seraph calmly replied, "That is correct. In Hprin, anyone can easily lose a longtime companion. The rite of passage is designed to let players get used to that before entering Hprin. This is a necessary and practical procedure, so it turns out the purpose of this was to make players accustomed to the shock right from the start. The difficulty was indeed raised this time, but that was because there were quite a few potential players. Summoned the first 4 players to finish were rewarded with 2,500 GP, but since Suhan was the 5th, he got nothing. While Suhan was feeling regretful about the reward, Seraph suddenly asked, "Player Kim Suhan, are you upset about 2,500 GP? You already possess 38,470 GP, so I don't think you need to worry about that 2,500 GP." After hearing this, Suhan was completely stunned. Thanks to his regression, he knew the Seraph of the past had already exchanged his GP for privileges, but this second chance was different. How can he still have so much left? Damn, this guy was the server's #1 player in his past life, but thanks to this regression, he doesn't even remember how much GP he had. He doesn't even know how rich he was, and now on a new character he's spending a fortune and is still this loaded. Who could possibly compete? With so much GP on hand, Suhan would be a fool not to go on a shopping spree. He tells Sarap to show him the exclusive player shop, but before that, Sarap first tallies up Suhan's boss rewards. With a snap of her fingers, a pile of game system windows appeared, and just looking at them made Suhan's head spin. Wow, 50,000 GP and achievement points. He even received an additional 2 stat points. Getting stats from an achievement is something extremely rare, not seen in the last 10 years. After claiming his rewards, Suhan immediately opened the exclusive player shop. In the list were numerous items to choose from, but Suhan didn't care and said to Sarap, "I will donate 77,777 GP to the shop. That's the required amount. So open the hidden items." Sarap's eyes widened in shock when she heard this. She asked Suhan how a new player could possibly know that. Suhan casually replied that the boss he just fought begged for its life and told him the secret. Of course, Sarap didn't buy that ridiculous excuse for a second, but she still complied with his request and opened the hidden shop. The hidden player shop was a one-time opportunity discovered by a player who accidentally used exactly 77,777 GP. By the time its existence became known, most players had either spent too much GP or no longer had enough GP left. Suhan was the same in his past life, so this second chance was his opportunity to fix that. After opening the hidden shop, Sarap briefly explained the rules. All hidden items after being purchased will disappear from the shop except for potions. The remaining items could only be purchased once. Suhan, relying on his vast wealth, began buying things without batting an eye. After some careful selection, Suhan picked out the essential items: a vial of Angel's Tears, which grants an additional 6 optional ability points, 2 elixirs that fully restore all health and mana, and 1 elixir of insight, which increases the level of a unique or hidden skill by 1, a potion of vitality that permanently increases stamina by 2 points, and a formless sword, an invisible blade that cannot be seen by the naked eye, capable of attacking targets across dimensions and summoning a divine sword. If the conditions are met, the blade is incredibly sharp and durable. With self-repairing capabilities, it can also absorb all attacks and magical defenses. Damn, there are no words for this. A newbie using such VIP tier gear, how is anyone supposed to compete? Suhan then exchanged 10,000 GP for 1,000. Confirming the purchase, the hidden shop could never be opened again. After confirming, Suhan was left with 146,943 GP, still ridiculously wealthy. As for the items, they were transferred to the player's inventory. Then Sarap spoke up to remind player Kim Suhan 1. Still don't know how you know so much about the game system, but if you use all the items you purchased with GP, your ability stats will far surpass those of the current Prince players. The existing players have a tendency to protect their own interests, so don't go carelessly making enemies or acting recklessly. Of course, Suhan understood this perfectly. That's the reason why he's been keeping his true power a secret until now. Returning to the present, at the starting inn, Yuzong was arguing with that punk Dong-gun, and they were about to come to blows at that exact moment, the door upstairs suddenly opened and the person who stepped out was none other than Suhan. Because his shopping trip took so long, he ended up being the last one out. The entire group witnessed this scene and was so moved. They were speechless after Yu Zung confirmed it was really him. They all rushed forward to hug Suhan in tears. Other than Suhan, because his shopping took too long, he was the last one to emerge. The group witnessing this was so moved. They were speechless after Yu Zung confirmed it was really him. Everyone rushed in to hug Suhan in tears. Just then, the summoning barrier outside the inn vanished, and several mysterious figures appeared preparing to enter. Meanwhile, Suhan was being questioned by his father about what had happened, and he tried to invent a story claiming he had passed out. When he awoke, the boss monster was gone, but it seemed this clumsy excuse might fool others, but not Hanbon. Just as Suhan was struggling to come up with another lie, the main door suddenly swung open and three strangely dressed individuals stepped inside. This was precisely what Suhan had been waiting for thanks to his knowledge from his regression, and after counting 43 people in the inn, one of them spoke up. "Hey there, trainee players. Welcome to this rundown, H-Prince. You must all be confused about what's going on, right? I'm sure you have plenty of other questions too, but first please follow us because you're not the only ones." After he said that, everyone was led to a castle, and once the full group had assembled, the man from before spoke again. "Is everyone here now? Alright everyone, your attention please. Welcome to the Player Academy." Now before arriving here, the angels probably gave you a brief explanation about H-Prince, but with just that information alone, your chances of survival in H-Prince would be very bleak, and the Player Academy is a type of training school designed to help trainee players get acclimated and increase their chances of survival in H-Prince, which was founded by a player from the northern continent. Even the angels acknowledge its effectiveness, so they have granted the Academy the authority to issue quests within this game system. The rewards are stat points, and the total training period is 3 months with veteran players from various fields, such as swordsmanship, magic, and so on, serving as your instructors, and trainee players will be taught survival strategies for H-Prince and will receive training tailored to their class and abilities. In addition, players will receive 20 silver each week. Players who complete the 3-month training will receive 4 skill stat points as a graduation reward. Suhan had only come for the skill points as part of his plan for this second chance, but the Academy also provided food, lodging, and lessons, and even a cash allowance for trainee players. And at this, the instructor smiled and continued, "You can all simply think of this as a tutorial within a game that has a lot of rewards. As for ability stat points, everyone can increase those through effort. However, the limit for increasing those points is different for each person, and gaining bonus ability points is one of the few ways to break through your personal limits, so use them carefully." Now I will ask player Park Hun-woo to handle the rest of the orientation. Another man then stepped onto the stage and began to speak. "It's a pleasure to meet you all. Trainee players, I am Park Hun-woo, a representative of the Golden Lion Guild from the Northern Continent, and I'll get straight to the point since the angels have already briefed you. On most things, the instructors here are all Korean just like you, and we are all people who have also passed the rite of passage. The only difference between you and us is the timing of our arrival, which means we cannot send you back home." At that moment, a man named Dong-gun was dragged forward, his body covered in blood, and was executed in front of the crowd by Park Hun-woo. His face remained ice cold as he continued, "We are well aware of the frustration and confusion you feel after being suddenly brought to this place. But we experienced those same feelings, and we are still trapped here today, and the veteran players here have only one purpose. That is to help you adapt to this world so you can consider it an act of goodwill from higher level players. Level of support for novice players in the game." But that person cursed and even harassed players who intended to help him. "If anyone doesn't want to accept our help, you can leave right now. You have the freedom to choose. I promise there will be no disadvantages for you." But after waiting a moment, no one had any intention of leaving. Everyone was shaken by the death of Dong-gun, and they were also captivated by the benefits the Academy offered. Then someone asked what would happen if a person quit halfway through. When it was confirmed that there would be no penalty, everyone felt a bit more at ease. Just when they thought the speech was over, Hanbun raised her hand and asked, "I have a question. What is the true purpose of this training?" Everyone began to murmur among themselves, thinking it was a pointless question and that she hadn't been listening. But Suhan found the question to be very insightful. Thanks to his regression, Suhan knew the stated reason for our training and their actual purpose were completely different. Hanbun's question wasn't about why we are being trained here. She got right to the heart of the matter, questioning both the reason for training novice players and the rewards for the course as well as the academy's true objective. Park Hoonu feigned ignorance and asked back, I have already explained the full value of the player academy. Do you have a complaint or another request? Hanbun refused to back down and repeated her question more clearly. That's not what I mean. I understood the advantages of the academy from your explanation already, but that's not all I'm curious about. Was this place really established for the simple purpose of supporting novice players? And it wasn't founded by angels but by a player. The players who arrived before us, why would they need to step up and train us? Is it really just out of goodwill? After listening, Park Hoonu replied, Thank you for your question. The players in H. Prince can be divided into two main types. There are players like us who want to return to Earth, and then there are those who don't want to return. Normal players like us are still gathering data within this complex game system to find a way back to Earth. But the ones who have decided to stay here are different. They want to live in H. Prince forever. For example, criminals who have nowhere to go in modern society, or social outcasts, or people who prefer their lives in H. Prince to the world they once lived, a world where they had nothing. When someone suggested that the two groups could just go their separate ways, Park Hoonu could only shake his head wearily. It's not that simple. Even though a modern society hasn't developed here, the more people there are, the more complicated the relationships of interest become. Not to mention there are murder squads who treat killing people as a hobby. Upon hearing this, the novice players were utterly shocked and horrified. But thanks to the second chance, Suhan was already all too familiar with this reality. The others' reactions were to be expected. Normally, the thought of murderers roaming freely would terrify anyone. But in just a few months, some of the people here will end up killing more humans than monsters. Park Hoonu then continued, I'm sure all of you have already heard the basic explanation from the angels, right? In H. Prince, things like age and gender don't matter. Through the game system, the stats you train will grant a player strength unimaginable back on Earth. The people who arrived here before you and were trained for a long time, in other words, they are much stronger than you are. So what do you think would happen if people like that discovered you were a novice player? Could there be any easier prey than a newcomer who knows nothing? This player academy can be considered a fortress that protects and teaches you how to avoid them. Players from various levels have gathered here to help you quickly understand the way things work of Haplin, and to fight those who prevent us from returning to Earth. Our purpose is singular: to return to the Earth where our loved ones await us, and that is why the Angel and many other players will encourage you to come here. And just like that, with a few sweet words, even someone as sharp as Han Buell was successfully manipulated. Only Suhan, thanks to his regression, knew what utter nonsense those words were. The absurd expedition to the Iron Mountains aimed at seizing control in Haplin, the Golden Lions, the very ones who ignited the first war between alliances in the past, are now speaking as if they are warriors of justice in Haplin. A guild is an organization formed by people with common interests. Guilds with a common enemy gather to form an alliance, meaning both guilds and wanderers are all the same, ready to point their swords at each other if necessary. After all questions were answered, the male and female players were separated. And of course, Anhan stuck to Suhan like glue. The very next day, the 3-month training for the apprentice players officially began. In the first week, the Northern Academy's apprentice player training program proved its reputation for being the most brutal, with physical training harsher than the military and simulation training where they had to fight against fellow trainees. More than 10% of the total 130 people could not endure this training and left. Luckily, Suhan's group quickly adapted to the training sessions at the academy. During lunch, Suhan asked and found out the classes his group members chose. Son Ah was a priest, Yu Jung was a mercenary, and the choice of Anhan was quite a surprise, as everyone thought he would choose swordsman. Anhan explained his reasoning while breaking bread. After we passed through the gate, I asked the angel if you were still alive, but she just kept dodging the question and repeating some nonsense about the game system settings. I was so pissed off at that time, so when she told me to be a swordsman, I angrily said that I would use a spear. This kid even demanded to be a mage back then, which completely freaked out the angel. With magic stats like his, becoming a mage would be a total waste. Suhan then reminded everyone not to reveal their stats or detailed information to anyone lest they take advantage of you kids, especially you. Sana. Just as everyone was having a pleasant conversation, Han Buell finished eating and stood up to leave. Seeing this, Suhan quickly asked, Are you leaving already, Han Buell? You haven't told us what you chose yet. Han Buell immediately replied that they were just reminded not to reveal information, and Suhan could only give a wry smile. After hearing that, then Han Buell used having a class as an excuse and left. Since entering the academy, it became increasingly difficult for the group. To see Han Buell, she grew closer to the people from the Golden Lions, but Suhan knew she was doing this only because she didn't trust him. From then on, Han Buell no longer spent time with the group, and time at the academy continued to pass just like that. During a combat practice class, a match between Suhan and Young took place. Both of them were rated very highly by the instructors and received numerous offers from various guilds, but in this battle, the one who completely dominated was Suhan. Even though he concealed most of his true power, his experience alone was more than enough to completely outclass these rookies. By the 13th week of training, only about 80 people remained at the academy. It seemed that everything was still going. According to Suhan's plan, he had to do everything perfectly to ensure the tragedy of the past would not be repeated on this second chance anymore, and to do that, Suhan should eliminate any potential threats from the start and make as many allies as possible. One fine day after training, Hanbun suddenly approached him. "Suhan, can I bother you for a moment? There's something I need to tell you." When Suhan asked what it was about, Hanbun suggested they talk while walking, since it was a bit inconvenient to speak there. After finding a secluded spot, Hanbun began to speak. "I received an invitation from the Golden Lion Guild. They don't usually accept new players, but they said I'm a special case along with a few others. They said mages are given preferential treatment in their guild, so if I join, they'll provide me with support and even recommend me for high-ranking positions in the future." Suhan was utterly stunned upon hearing this. What, they're going to support her just because they favor mages? What kind of nonsense is that? And recommending her for a high-ranking position? Unless she has a secret or rare class, there's no way that's possible, especially for someone with 0 years of experience. Just then, Suhan activated a skill from his game system to inspect Hanbun's information. Her current class was Gem Mage, leaving Suhan completely astonished. A Gem Mage. A secret class. When did she get that and how? This was a critical part of his second chance he hadn't foreseen. The Golden Lion Guild's offer of support and a high-ranking position could only mean one thing: they already knew about Hanbun's class. This betrayal, is she serious? She didn't say a single word to me about it. No, I can't let her become more suspicious. Right now, Hanbun is more wary of me than she is trusting. After composing himself, Suhan just offered a cold congratulations. After all, Hanbun was just another player at H-Prince, not someone who had been through life and death with him. Hanbun then asked Suhan if he had also received an invitation from the Golden Lion Guild. Suhan replied that he had already refused. He had no intention of joining that guild. Hearing this, Hanbun immediately questioned him. "The Golden Lion Guild is the most powerful on the northern continent, so why would you refuse them? Are you trying to attempt the impossible, or have you already accepted an offer from a different guild?" Suhan immediately shook his head. "Yeah, neither of those. Of course, I've received quite a few offers from other guilds, but I don't plan on joining the Golden Lion Guild or any other guild for that matter." Hanbun was completely shocked. To gather information or to protect yourself, joining a major guild is the best way to survive in H-Prince. You know that as well as I do. Suhan explained that he didn't want to abandon his party members and join a guild by himself. Hearing this, Hanbun quickly tried to persuade him. "If you're worried about that, I can ask them to take the others too. That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about today." But Suhan shook his head and said that wasn't the problem. Hanbun couldn't hold back her emotions and yelled, "Then what is it? You said you don't want to join the Golden Lion or any other guild. Are you planning to form a new one with someone else?" Suhan calmly replied, "If it becomes necessary, then I will." Hanbun clenched her fists helplessly and said, "I'm fully aware that you're special and more talented than anyone else. But H-Prince isn't some simple trial that one person can handle all by themselves. Don't you think it's too risky to let everyone depend on you even after we graduate from the academy? You're just trying to do everything alone." Suhan sighed and cut Hanbun off. "Being logical is fine, but aren't you being a bit one-dimensional in your thinking? I've heard you haven't even spoken a word to the others for the past few weeks. Who are you to look down on them? Do you have any idea how powerful they can become later on? How strong I am? You just go around judging people without knowing a thing about them." Hanbun listened to the rebuke in silence, then finally spoke. "I apologize for that, but I thought you would think rationally too. You know about that situation, don't you? The Golden Lion Guild has long been secretly preparing an expedition to the Iron Mountains. If that expedition succeeds, their influence will expand far beyond simply being the strongest guild on the northern continent. That also means no one will be able to stop their path back to Earth. They would also be able to access more information, while new guilds would inevitably face dissolution. That is why I cannot understand your decision." After listening, Suhan asked a serious question. Then let me ask you just one thing. What guarantee is there that the expedition to the Iron Mountains will succeed? This question startled Hanbun. She had no way to guarantee this. But Su-han granted a second chance through his regression had already lived through this and knew all too well about the Golden Lion Guild's collapse. It was once renowned as the most powerful intercontinental guild. When the Golden Lion Guild set foot in Atlanta, which stretched across the entire Iron Mountains region, they first had to solve the problems of the northern continent, the uprising of the guildless issues among allies, and many other things. Without resolving these problems, the Golden Lion Guild hastily prepared for the expedition, and as predicted, the expedition was a complete failure. That failure ignited the spark for the First Alliance War later on. Su-han looked directly into Hanbun's eyes and asked, "Have you ever thought about what it means to be nominated as a leader of a major guild? Are they truly people that you can trust?" Hanbun thought for a moment, then asked, "Back then, are you the one I can trust?" Su-han knew that Hanbun realized he had hidden many things from everyone, so he hesitated for a moment. He had thought he could at least be a strong wall for her to trust and rely on, but he guessed that was not the case. And so their conversation reached a dead end. A few days later, the long-awaited graduation ceremony finally arrived. After receiving 4 attribute points from the game system, Su-han was a bit hesitant about where to allocate them. Just then, the three of them, An-sun and Yu-dung, approached and asked him, "Su-han, what are you planning to do now? You must have received a lot of offers, right? Have you decided to join any guild yet?" Su-han said that he had rejected all the offers and asked the kids what their plans were. The three looked at each other, then simultaneously said they would follow Su-han. All three were very talented and had received many offers from different guilds, but had rejected them all. From the very beginning, they had recognized Su-han as their leader and were determined to accompany him to the ends of the earth. Although he had anticipated this, Su-han also felt a bit of joy in his heart. Just then, Gu Sung-min, who was also about to leave, came over to say hello. "The past 13 weeks have been tough. It seems you guys aren't planning to join a guild either." I am not fond of any guild either. Or perhaps we could travel together for a while longer. You are the only one worthy of being a companion among those who haven't chosen a guild." This offer was actually not bad. Cooperating with Gu Sung-min would make conquering dungeons easier, but the problem was the members of the two groups disliked each other very much. As soon as Yu-dung saw the other party, she immediately rushed forward for a verbal fight. Knowing this was a hopeless endeavor, the two groups shook hands. They said their goodbyes and went their separate ways, while Han Byun looked back at her old party with a regretful gaze. She was then reminded to attend a meeting with the Golden Lion Guild before leaving. Perhaps in the future, Han Byun would come to regret the decision she made today. The northern continent had many cities. The place where Su-han and his party stood was the city of Barabara, located in the center of the continent. There were also 4 medium-sized cities in the 4 cardinal directions of the continent, each with 2 smaller neighboring cities built for mutual support, and the party would head to one of those small cities. Myun is the city located in the far north and is the most recently built among the newly pioneered areas. Therefore, the surrounding area was quite dangerous. Because security was very weak, dangerous wanderers often frequented the area, making it very perilous for players without sufficient strength. That was what the academy taught newcomers. When asked why they had to go to such a desolate and dangerous place, Su-han explained, "In a large famous city, we won't gain anything as most of the surrounding dungeons have already been cleared. Many players consider it a key location, so the competition is fierce. If we operate there, we'll face countless obstacles." And Han then asked with confusion, "But I heard they're planning to cross the Iron Mountains to seize territory there. Shouldn't we stay in Barabara to join that expedition?" Su-han immediately shook his head in disagreement. "We're just novice players. When giants fight, it's best for the little guys to stay out of it. Just think about the city of Barabara. It took over 4 years of preparation and countless sacrifices just to establish this place. The expedition will be much harder than pioneering Barabara was, and yet they plan to prepare in the same amount of time. Do you see how impossible that is?" After hearing his explanation, the group looked at each other in confusion. They didn't know that thanks to his regression, Su-han knew a secret of the game system. The method to learn the rare Spear Key Masterclass was discovered in A rare class increases combat power significantly, and Su-han was determined to use this second chance to find it for An-han. After coming to an agreement, the party decided to set off immediately. In HPL, there are no airplanes or cars, and since Myun was quite far away, the best option would be a teleportation gate. Just seeing the teleportation gate was enough to bring back terrifying memories for the group, not to mention the exorbitant price to use it. Seeing this, Su-han spoke up. "Don't worry, I heard that developing cities reduce their teleportation fees to attract more players. How much have you all saved up?" The atmosphere suddenly became strangely silent as everyone looked at each other. Suhan was a bit speechless. Hey guys, why is everyone so quiet? Don't tell me you've spent it all already. When would we have had the time or a place to spend it? Just then, Han held out a pouch. This is all the money we've managed to save up. We'll entrust it to you, okay? After some back and forth, Suhan finally accepted the money pouch and became the party's treasurer. Afterwards, the group approached the teleportation gate to Myun. Upon arrival, Suhan smiled brightly while the other three were completely frozen. This place was like a desolate wasteland. They couldn't see a single person anywhere. It was a real rude awakening. Afterwards, the party went to an inn called the Gentle Maiden to find lodging. Everyone's face was weary and pale with no hope for this place at all. Suhan also took the money pouch and became the group's treasurer. Afterward, the party headed to the teleportation gate bound for Myun. Upon arriving, Suhan grinned brightly while the three kids just stood there completely frozen. This place was nothing but a desolate wasteland with not a single person in sight. It was a truly shocking first impression. The group then went to an inn called the Gentle Maiden to find lodging. Everyone's face was gaunt and pale with not a shred of hope to be found in this place. It took a great deal of effort to convince the kids to enter this place, which was exactly as Suhan remembered from before his regression. He chose this location partly because he knew someone here. The moment they stepped into the inn, the kids were terrified by a man who had collapsed on the floor, so scared he wet himself while continuously screaming for help. The one who frightened him so badly turned out to be a woman, a beautiful woman who appeared frail. The instant she saw customers enter, she turned with a friendly smile. "Oh, my welcome guests. It looks like you all came straight from the academy, didn't you? Are you here for a meal or a room?" And Han, seeing a beautiful woman for the first time, was completely frozen with his jaw on the floor. Sun and Yu-dong immediately shot him a look of contempt. Fortunately, Suhan wasn't captivated by her charms, so he stepped forward to book a room and a meal. Seeing this, the proprietress laughed and said, "Oh, what a difference from a certain someone. I like gentlemanly young men. You kids can take a seat, I'll go prepare in a bit. I have to take care of this thing first." The man on the floor broke out into a cold sweat after just one glance from her, then scrambled out of the inn in a panic. As he fled, he was frantically apologizing and screaming for help as if he'd seen the Grim Reaper. Only after they had settled in and ordered did the kids dare to complain to Suhan. "Hey bro, this place is super suspicious. We're the only customers here." "That's right, it's so weird. Can we go to another inn?" "Please," Suhan replied. "There are no customers because everyone has gone to Iron Mountain. Do you guys dislike this inn that much?" And Han, with his eyes glued to the proprietress in the kitchen, said, "Not at all, bro. I like it. There's nothing weird about it. We don't need to go to another inn." Damn, this kid is completely smitten. Such is the inexperience of youth. Yu-dong then made an excuse. "I really don't like her calling me a kid. We're paying customers, aren't we? When choosing an inn, we should find someplace decent, bro. Look at how messy it is in here. And what about that guy who ran away earlier? There must be something wrong with that lady just then." Yu-dong was startled by a laugh right beside her and screamed. Unbeknownst to her, the proprietress had approached and was leaning in close to Yu-dong's ear, having overheard the trash talk. My, how terrifying. Just as Yu-dong was about to curse, the proprietress placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled menacingly. "Sweetie, if you want to know why that man was running for his life, I'd be happy to show you." Yu-dong's body was suddenly enveloped by a magical aura so dense it was suffocating. She couldn't move at all, no matter how hard she struggled. Suhan, though unaffected, simply observed the situation quietly. What terrifying mana. But to release mana just to intimidate someone fresh from the academy, her cranky personality is the same as ever. On this second chance, I see some things never change. At this rate, the kids must have all felt it by now. Yu-dong, terrified to the point of tears, could only plead with her eyes for Suhan to help. At that moment, Suhan couldn't just watch any longer and decided to act. He merely set his glass down on the table, and yet, the immense magical pressure was instantly shattered. "When will the food be ready, ma'am?" The proprietress, no longer playing around, went into the kitchen and brought out the food. The group then ate with great appetite, all except for Yu-dong. Suhan understood the problem at a glance. It seems she still hasn't recovered from the shock just now. That's understandable, feeling such a murderous aura up close like that. Yu-dong sensed it instinctively. Even though she's a player with a game system, that woman's level is on a completely different plane. After all, this is something she has to experience at least once. In the future, situations like this will happen many more times. After they had eaten their fill, and Han, full of vigor, declared, "Brother Suhan, so we'll be operating and staying here for the time being, right? This place will be Our base-catching monsters exploring dungeons and caves, increasing our stats through the game system, and then hoarding tons of money, right, brother? The hyperactive, game-obsessed kid in front of him left Suhan utterly speechless, and after that, the two brothers even started planning to form and name their own guild. But life is not a fairy tale, and Suhan spoke up to crush their hopes, stating that the four of them currently did not meet the conditions to form an official guild. Upon hearing this, Anhan eagerly asked back, "What conditions are those? I heard that even one person can form a guild." Guilds are managed by residents who have been commissioned by the angels, Suhan explained at that moment. To form a guild, you first have to establish a caravan, which means operating as a group, accumulating achievements, and then reporting regularly. You only remember the simple stuff, huh? Anhan could only laugh awkwardly to save face, after which Suhan asked Yujung how she was feeling. The little girl kept her head down and said she was very angry, causing Suhan to let out a long sigh. He then reminded them that the instructors at the academy had always said that you will never know what might happen in H-Prince. What if this innkeeper was some kind of wanderer? What if that person had ill intentions toward you? Being overly cautious isn't good, but you all need to be more vigilant. We're not here to go camping or play treasure hunt. We have to find a way to survive and return to Earth. This is our second chance and you all know it. It's good that you're angry. If you've realized how weak you are, then you should train and become stronger. Yujung, her spirits now restored immediately, asked, "How do I do that? How do I have to train so that something like what just happened never occurs again? What did that person do to me? You know, don't you?" Seeing Yujung's determination, Suhan decided he would explain everything to the group. "How much do you all know about mana release, son?" The top student immediately answered, "I learned about it in the magic class at the academy. It's a control ability that anyone can use to manipulate the mana inside their body." Suhan then said that the skill the innkeeper used was just a type of mana release, not some special or latent skill. Yujung's face lit up with excitement upon hearing this. "Does that mean we can use it too?" Suhan continued. "That's right, you can use it with just practice. You can defend yourself in situations like the one before, and depending on the situation you can even counterattack." Hearing this, Yujung's eyes seemed to glow and she wanted to learn right away. Suhan had no reason to refuse this request. He slowly stood up, walked toward the window, and turned his back to the group. Mana release can be divided into 5 types: sense, possession, overwhelm, shatter, and annihilation. Thanks to my regression, I can now demonstrate the first type, sense. He closed his eyes and said, "Hansol Yujung, try to move to any spot in this inn without making a sound." The 3 kids exchanged glances and then followed the request. All 3 tried to move as quietly as possible to avoid making any noise. After a moment, Suhan suddenly spoke, "Anhan, 68 degrees southwest from my left foot, right in front of the cashier's counter. Ansol, 73 degrees southeast from my right foot, behind the pillar. Yujung, on the table right behind me." The positions of all 3 were stated with perfect accuracy, not off by even a little. The kids were utterly astonished by this ability, and they couldn't understand how he did it. Suhan then turned back and explained, "This skill is the first tier of mana release sense. This skill connects your own mana flow to objects or the floor. You can use your mana to expand your radius of perception. If someone tries to sneak up on you like the innkeeper did, you'll be able to know it if you train this skill regularly." That's true, but the sense skill isn't always useful, especially if an opponent already knows you're there and approaches at a speed you can't react to, or approaches from above, or if they secretly mix their own mana with a target's. Then even a good sense skill can't identify them. It's an application of possession, a higher tier skill than sense. Yudung's head was spinning, asking, "I don't get it at all." So the innkeeper used. Suhan explained further, that person used the tier 3 skill, overwhelm. Overwhelm is a skill that infuses one's own will into their mana to control an opponent. Because this is such a high-level technique, it requires the player to have masterful control. You felt like the innkeeper wanted to kill you, right? That's because he infused his killing intent into his mana to intimidate you. If you mastered possession, you could defend against overwhelm or at least resist it. Upon hearing this, Yu Dung quickly jumped up and shouted, "So overwhelm is stronger, right? I'm going to learn overwhelm. I want to use it." He was being so childish. A troubled Suhan had to explain again, "You're trying to run before you can walk, Yu Dung. Overwhelm is a much higher level skill than sense and possession. As long as you kids can't maintain sense for more than 1 hour, don't even dream about exploring. If you can't even manage that, getting ambushed out there is just a matter of time. 1 hour is incredibly difficult for a novice, and the kids were so discouraged they didn't even want to practice anymore." Yu Dung then wondered when Suhan had found the time to master these skills. After all, they had all been learning the same things together. Suhan had no choice but to lie, saying he used his free time to practice and also received a lot of help from the instructor. This conveniently explained the strange postures that Anha had been seeing every night. The kids didn't suspect a thing after that. If Hanbun had been there, she wouldn't have been so easily fooled by such a story. Suhan then continued saying it only took him a single day to master sense. Possession he claimed took about 2 weeks, while overwhelm wasn't mastered until his final week at the academy. It took him that long. He challenged them, wondering who would master the skill first. This was his second chance to build a strong team from the start. And just like that, their competitive spirits were ignited, each wanting to be the first to master sense and earn Suhan's praise, but in the end, none of the three could master sense in a single day. They couldn't even maintain it for 1 hour. Yudong, lasting a maximum of 28 minutes before passing out, brought their day in Mian to a close. After taking the 3 kids back to their room, Suhan went out to gather information. He took a lap around the area but still couldn't find anyone. It seemed like everyone had left in a hurry, leaving many areas only partially explored. Unable to find any useful intel, Suhan decided to check the storage warehouse. After a bit of searching, he found the house with the magic circle on the wall. Upon stepping through the magic circle, a new space opened up. Thanks to his regression, Suhan was already intimately familiar with this place and immediately checked the items he'd bought from the hidden shop. First up were the stat-boosting potions, an essential part of gaming the Kshik game system. There was no point in saving them. After chugging down the entire batch of potions, Suhan checked his player info again. Compared to a new player, Suhan's stats were astronomically high. Strength, 94. Stamina, 92. Agility, 98. Vitality, 72. Mana, 96. And Luck, 88. Not only that, but he also had 12 free stat points left to use. At this rate, who could possibly compete with him? Staring at his stat window, Suhan fell into deep thought about the 12 free points he had remaining. Points. Once allocated points can be used anytime, so I'll just save them. The real question is when I should take out the sword and the elixir. I don't need them right away anyway, so I'll go earn more gold first. Suhan then grabbed a bag of gold and left the storage warehouse. The priority now is to buy equipment. If I commission it now, I'll probably get it in time for the schedule. If only I had more time, I would have farmed more experience from hunting monsters, but the war is only 3 months away. The first war between the Alliance guilds is coming. There's not much time left, so my only option is to fully utilize the information I have from my regression to build up achievements. A week later, while Suhan was studying a map, Yujung suddenly knocked and entered, asking about Sun's special training. That girl keeps flipping a coin and demanding you give her special training too. Suhan, without taking his eyes off the map, explained to Yujung, that she's just practicing restraining spells. For a priest, support magic is just as important as healing magic. Yujung continued to complain that she was only being trained in perception skills. Suhan explained that it's incredibly important. For a melee fighter, training one's senses is more than enough. After hearing this, Yujung dejectedly slumped over the table. Seeing the pile of books, she curiously asked Suhan, "What are you planning to do with all these books and theses? And what are these marks on the map? You've been doing this a lot lately. Are you looking for treasure?" Suhan answered without hiding anything. "I'm researching all the records related to Miyun. Killing monsters around the city doesn't help much with increasing my achievements, so I'm reviewing records of ancient events in Miyun to find clues about hidden dungeons or unknown locations." This was taking more time than he thought. Of course, Suhan was not doing this without a reason. Thanks to his regression, he already knew for certain that Mion held the Alchemist's Dungeon and the Research Institute, so he was just searching for their exact locations. Yu found all of this more mind-numbing than perception training, so she quickly slipped away. Based on the information gathered, Suhan seemed to have a rough idea. Although he would have to go there in person to be certain, he generally knew their locations: the Great Alchemist's Dungeon and the ruins of the Research Institute. First, Suhan planned to head to this Great Alchemist's Dungeon, the one he had the most information about. Just then, his perception skill detected a presence outside the door. It was none other than the innkeeper. After Suhan called out, the innkeeper calmly and confidently entered the room. Though she appeared harmless, the person before him was one of the 10 strongest players in H-Prince, the Night Queen Jianju. The 10 strongest is the title for the 10 most powerful players in H-Prince, whose skills are recognized by other players regardless of age or gender, and this woman was one of the 10 strongest. In his past life, Suhan never would have imagined that the innkeeper of this small city was actually her. Suhan pretended to be oblivious and asked Jianju what brought her here so late at night. Jianju slowly approached and activated her skill. Suhan's eyes instantly glazed over and he began answering her questions without any hesitation. After seeing, Suhan used the break skill via the game system. On the very first day they met, Jeonju had become interested in this new player and began looking into his background. She had been observing him for days, but because he was so careful with his second chance, she found nothing unusual at all, which is precisely why, before Suhan's group leaves tomorrow, she decided to make a move to find out his hidden secret. After being momentarily charmed, Suhan revealed his biggest secret. Actually, I like the darkness. This statement made Jeonju freeze on the spot because her nickname is the Queen of Darkness. But Suhan wasn't acting anymore. His third eye skill, part of his unique game system, had already seen through Jeonju's enchanting eyes skill from the very beginning. He had just been playing along the whole time. He then reached his hand toward Jeonju's neck, forcing her backward. Jeonju didn't resist at all and obediently complied, sensing, well, that she would die if she dared to do anything else. Thanks to his regression, Suhan used his skill to view all of Jeonju's information. As expected, of one of the 10 strongest, her stats were truly impressive. Her total ability score was 536 out of 600, but the current Suhan could defeat her. She would be very useful as an ally. Otherwise, she was just an obstacle in his path. Later, if his guild is approved, he will try to recruit her. If not, he can only deal with her quickly. Suhan then looked directly at Jeonju and asked, "You're Jeonju, right?" Seeing her information exposed made Jeonju extremely flustered, and Suhan took this second chance. How? To move closer and whisper in her ear, "I really like the darkness, so I also really like you. Therefore, I hope you, don't do anything foolish." The next day, Suhan gathered the group and gave each person a gift equipment and weapons suitable for each of them. After seeing the kids excited about their new gear, Suhan announced, "Over the past while, you all have trained hard, so I've chosen the most suitable equipment and weapons for each of you. I used the money I've saved up, and the money you all gave me before to buy it. Now go to your rooms, change into your gear, and pack your luggage, then gather at the front of the inn. Today we will head to the dark forest to enter a dungeon." What does this first journey have in store for the group? Join Thongok to find out in the next part.